This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
What's up, Real MVPs, Ricky Whitmer here, along with fellow man-child, Johnny Carlos.
I'm Tiny Rick!
I'm Tiny Rick, or Pickle Rick, or...
No.
Did you see the video online of... there's a guy that went into, like, a McDonald's...
Oh, he's fucking
and was
nuts.
like, I'm Pickle Rick! And then started like, wailing
on the floor. Yeah. And then ran out screaming.
I didn't see that part. I just saw him wailing on the floor, yelling, I'm Pickle Rick!
Oh, no, maybe that was the guy that went
Rick!"
nuts about the Szechuan sauce.
Yeah. It was weird,
Yeah, it was.
but I couldn't look away. It's like a car crash. I just could not look away. But welcome in to the Rick and Johnny podcast right here on Most Valuable Podcast. I'm Rick. He's Johnny, but call me Ricky because I use...
Call him Rick, it's funnier.
I use Rick for the podcast, but really...
Call him Rick, it's funnier.
And this is where we talk about nerd stuff.
Make him twitch.
Superhero stuff, movies, entertainment, anything under the two nerdy sons. And Johnny, I need your help. This was something I said to Dave yesterday on the fast break. I need brainstorming help on what I can say for Dave when I introduce him on a podcast. Because every podcast I have, your fellow man-child, Johnny Carlick. Brandon was the one, the only, Brandon Swanee Swanson. And then Mark is the Mark Weber. What should I do for Dave? That is our homework for next week. We have to brainstorm an idea for me to call Dave, much like our example here is I call you fellow man-child, Johnny Carlick. So for you guys at home and for Johnny, that is all of ours collective homework for next week. And I will collect those assignments next week when we do the podcast. But we got a jam-packed Johnny just giving me daggers. Like, who are you to assign a homework to
I have enough
me?
homework, thank you.
But we have a jam-packed show. Obviously, Spider-Man, we are 2 weeks. Really, is it 2 weeks? It's less than 2 weeks. I think it's a week and a half. July 2nd is when it comes out. Because Marvel has graciously said, well, you don't have to wait till Thursday. You don't have to wait till the 4th of July. We're going to have the movie come out July 2nd, 2 days earlier
Now, did they just,
than
like,
usual.
fuck over Marcus Theaters
I don't know.
with their discounted Tuesdays?
Dude, that would be awesome if it's like, oh, great, it's a discounted Tuesday, and I'm assuming that it's going to be like an asterisk where it's like not okayed with this movie.
Or, like, not okay with brand new releases?
Yeah, I'm just assuming they did it because they didn't want it to come out on the 4th of July.
When no one's going to want to go to theaters, really. They're going to be all barbecuing and partying.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our final predictions, kind of like what we did for Endgame and Infinity War. Our final predictions for that, plus other Spider-Man news. Then we are going to jump into some X-Men news. Jason Momoa throwing his name into the Wolverine hat. We're going to talk about would he make a good Wolverine, should Marvel cast him as Wolverine in the MCU, and then we're going to wrap everything up. We talked about the streaming wars and more Warner Media last week. Well, Warner Media added again. They are paying J.J. Abrams a lump sum of $500 million for exclusive content for their business and their streaming service. We're going to talk about that and what it means for the Warner Media streaming service, whatever it's called. We don't know a name for it yet. But Johnny, let's jump into it. There's a ton of new footage coming out for Spider-Man Far From Home. And the place I want to start is an unsettling place for me. Multiverses. We've had this conversation before. Apparently Marvel is trying to sell me... They're trying to sell me a steak. And I'm looking at the steak and I'm just thinking to myself, I don't like the look of that steak. I don't trust that steak. Basically, they're trying to sell me this, that Mysterio's coming from a multiverse and that in his Earth, these elementals killed off his planet and then they came to ours and he's here to help us. And I can't help but every time I hear it, think, all right, how is he going to stab us in the back? That's what I can't understand. What are your thoughts on the multiverses that Marvel's trying to sell us in the Spider-Man Far From Home trailers.
Oh, it's straight up horse hockey.
Okay. It's basically they're trying to pull a fast one on us.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably using that excuse for him to. Well, he's using the excuse that he comes from another, or another multiverse,
Dimension.
another. Well,
multiverse.
It's another universe because Doctor Strange dabbles in dimensions all the time. Tell me he wouldn't have some idea about that then.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but he's in the nightmare realm apparently.
yeah.
Oh shit! Bless you. That was an aggressive sneeze. But yeah, I don't. To me, I don't trust it.
No,
because it's like Mysterio's supposed to be the villain, and here's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna go right into the prediction for me.
Yeah,
I think that Mysterio is lying. He's not from an alternate reality. He's from our reality, and these three elementals that we see are Molten Man, Hydro Man, and Sandman.
Yes.
That's what they are.
yes.
That's what I think.
I think so too. Actually, I'm going to agree with you on that because actually, not to mention, and the pop figurines aren't necessarily off unless Marvel kind of tells them to be. The water one is labeled Hydro Man.
Okay.
And I didn't see the other two for the Earth or fire
the
elements,
fire one.
but I saw the water ones labeled Hydro Man, which is okay. Sometimes they come out with ones that aren't gonna happen. They came out with the Hulk popping out of the Hulkbuster for Infinity War,
Kind of just throw us
all
off the trail.
But a lot of times they'll either
Like the fake Hulk in the trailer.
Yes, exactly. But I agree with you. It's gonna be his excuse. He's trying to be a hero since Iron Man's dead. Cap is no longer around per se. I mean, Falcon is Cap now. It's his time to rise as a hero. Well, he's making a fake scenario for himself to be put on the map as a hero.
Yeah, because also you've got Spider-Man asked, what about Thor, off-world? What about Doctor Strange, not available? What about Captain Marvel? They changed that line to I think it's...
Don't invoke her name.
Don't invoke her name, which part of me was like, what the fuck does that mean? Basically, it's like don't say her name. How dare you say her name? Is that
dare
basically,
you bring her up?
Is that basically what he means? Is Nick Fury mad at Captain Marvel? Did something happen that I didn't know about?
I think so. I mean, my guess would be that, because she did warn him at the end of Captain Marvel, don't just use it the thing all willy-nilly.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Maybe it's just him, sort of joking, but
hey, this isn't that bad.
Yeah, this isn't bad enough to call her yet.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that I really like in the new footage that they released, and the one that I'm talking about is Peter's kind of sitting on a bridge, and Mysterio's he just flies up. First off, that looks fucking baller as shit. Where he just flies up and he's sitting floating there.
Yeah.
And the way his voice kind of sounds like it's in a studio. It sounds like he's in a recording studio.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like what it would maybe sound like in
coming out of a speaker, because his head's in a globe.
Yeah.
And there's got to be some sort of speaker letting his voice out or something.
It's so cool.
Realistically, I mean.
So cool. And then he sits down and the globe just kind of... It's not even a globe. It's just kind of not a glass globe. It's kind of like
a nanotech sphere.
It's like a fog that's kept in by something, and it just disappears.
It just goes in almost like those roll-up hoods.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right into the back.
And it's so it's so cool. I'm digging the look of Mysterio.
My money's on it's sort of
Do you think
Tinker.
it's nanotech?
I think that part might be nanotech.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. It looks just like Tony Stark's armor, except has some special visual effects to it now. But my money is on it's sort of going to be a Tinkerer scenario where he's really good at special effects and shit. So he has some decent idea of electronics and mechanics and all that.
Is Nick Fury foolish enough to give Mysterio nanotech?
He may not have given it to him.
No, but I'm asking because Nick Fury is pretty trusting of Mysterio already.
I don't think he gave it to him. I think it's one of those sort of like I said, Vulture, Tinkerer. He got his hands on this shit.
Okay.
Or hell, he may have created it at that point because now that the tech is out there, it's out there. The idea of it.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I love the whole relationship that they're setting up between Spider-Man and Mysterio.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing, the first trailer after Endgame was basically oh shit, he's gone. Iron Man is dead. Like, how am I going to live up to being like,
Yeah.
Because he was the face, not just of the Avengers, but of the MCU. And now it's kind of like that symbolism of who's going to pick up the mantle to be the face of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And I kind of think they're setting up Spider-Man
To be
that guy.
the cap. He's being set up to be the Iron Man.
Yeah. I don't know who's being set up to be the Cap.
My guess right now it's probably gonna be Falcon, seeing as they have a Falcon Bucky series. He's given the shield. And not to mention that, I wonder if they're going to come out with a movie for him. Mm-hmm. If not, it's going to come down to they're going to start pulling out the other stuff that they have. Like there's Black Panther 2 coming out at some point. Doctor Strange 2 is coming out at some point.
Black Widow.
She's more of
not going to be the Cap.
Sort of a spin-off now.
Yeah. For me though, I love the relationship where it's like you can tell in this movie that Spider-Man is still very much, because with Iron Man it was very much I look up to you and you're my mentor and I don't have all the answers. It was a very teacher-student kind of relationship, and he's basically looking for that new mentor. Like, it's kind of like where Spider-Man's not ready to take that step and say, hey, I can do it by myself. So he's kind of relying, like he says, oh, it's nice to have someone to talk about this superhero stuff with. But the way he's talking to Mysterio about it is how a student would talk to a mentor and how a student would talk to a teacher, not how like a equal would talk to one of their equal peers. So, I mean, that to me is like, I wonder how that's going to play in, because I feel like with them building that relationship between the two, it just makes it so much easier for Mysterio to stab Spider-Man in the back, and there's your emotional thing to get at Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's going to happen. That's what Beck's trying to do, is build his trust. And then I think it's going to be the route of Spider-Man's going to find out, like, all this shit's fake.
How do you think he finds out it's fake?
One of the ways, it could be the Stark glasses that he's given. It could be just stumbles upon it with sort of the Spider-Man thing where kind of, I don't want to say falls into it, but like, hey, realizes like something's not right, looks into it. What if it's
one of the elementals? Like, let's say Sandman, if they defeat Sandman and Sandman transforms into just like, whoa, wait, you're an elemental. Why did you just transform into a dude? Like, that could be something, or like you said, like something with the Stark glass. It's like, whoa, okay, something doesn't seem right here.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's going to be, he goes to Nick Fury and goes, hey, something's not right. And Nick Fury basically goes, no, you don't know what you're talking about. We got to believe him. Like, what the hell are you? Like, that classic thing of, like, what are you doing? Like, of course we're going to believe him. Why would you? How dare you think that this guy is here to backstab us? And then maybe that's when we get that final scene of, because we know the Spider-Man in the black suit at the carnival is towards the end of the movie. That's like the final fight scene between Mysterio and Spider-Man. Yeah. I wonder if that's where Spider-Man goes, well, if Nick Fury ain't going to do anything, I'm going to prove that Mysterio's out to trick us.
I'm wondering if it's hard to gauge Nick Fury at this point, because I get where it's coming from. Like, he's been gone 5 years.
Well, an Endgame screwed over everything.
Yeah. Well, for him especially.
Yeah. Well, him and Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying though.
And Maria. Maria got snapped away.
Yeah, she got snapped away too, but I'm talking to Nick Fury.
Yeah.
He's so, like, just think about mentally not being there necessarily, but like how to think. He's been gone 5 years. Two of his heroes that were big heroes are out of commission. Third one's not to be found again.
Yeah.
And then Hulk, we don't know what's up with him at the moment. So it's like, I can't call anyone that I would like normally call.
Hulk at the end of the movie
had his arm in a sling, but we don't know what's going on with him after that.
Yeah, well, but I'm just saying, like, because this movie is supposed to pick up moments after Endgame.
Yeah, so he's still.
I'm assuming he's still healing from that, so that's why Hulk can't help either.
Yeah, and then so Nick Fury's probably not even sure what to think anymore because, well, shit, I've been gone. It's 5 years later.
His whole reality is just shaken.
Exactly. So it's like, well, I kind of don't have a choice. Maybe I should believe this guy because who knows what the hell else is going on.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I feel like Beck is playing with them and using, like, the right moment to do it. Is like, hey, this is my,
this
like
snap
you
just
said,
happened.
This is my time to shine because there's a vacancy for heroes.
And guess what? He probably didn't get snapped away. He's probably been working on this for that 5 years or some shit like that.
Yeah. I'm going to throw out a bigger twist. I want to throw this out, but I don't think it happens.
Okay.
But I would flip shit if it did, Johnny.
Okay.
So, post-credit scene. There's a rumor about one. We'll get to that. But this is one that just popped into my head. What if we get at the end of Spider-Man? Because apparently the director of the Spider-Man he was asked, like, oh, do you have an idea of, like, how the trilogy is going to end, the next film? Obviously, after Far From Home, first off, Tom Holland has one more movie with Sony.
Yeah.
But Sony and Marvel would have to make a new agreement. So the Marvel-Sony agreement ends after Far From Home, but Tom Holland has one more Spider-Man movie in his contract with Sony. And the director was asked, how do you see the trilogy ending? And he goes, I don't know. Like, he's like, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know how this story ends. One thing that I know Sony has wanted to fit in, and I don't know if Marvel does it here because it's an MCU movie and they're right now keeping the universes separate. What if we got in a post-credit scene, mid-credit scene, Beck, after he's been defeated, kind of like he stumbles into like a warehouse or a hideout, and you just hear a voice that's like, you failed me, Beck. I know. I'm sorry. Da-da-da. And guess who it is?
Doc Ock.
Doc Ock. Pulling the strings behind everything. The start of what could be the Sinister Six. Because we've got Vulture. We've got Scorpion. Well, Scorpion wasn't in the original.
He was teased.
Yeah, like he was in the first, but I'm talking the original Sinister Six.
Oh, I know. But they don't have to stick with the original either.
Because like the... this is kind of a spoiler, but I don't care. In the comic that Mark and I read for a graphic conversation, the first issue was the traditional lineup for the Sinister Six. The second one, who did they swap out? They swapped out Kraven, and who did they put in? They put in, I think, not Electro. Electro was already there. They put someone else in.
Rhino?
No. Not Rhino.
I'm just throwing names out there.
Sandman.
Okay.
Sandman. They put him in there. And Sandman could be in this movie.
Yeah, potentially.
But that could also be a Beck thing. But also it could be just Doc Ock pulling strings. I don't know if that happens because mainly I don't think the MCU wants to do something like that. Because that puts Doc Ock in the MCU unless that third movie... They want to do another Doc Ock movie and do it a Sinister Six style movie. The other post credit that I was going to ask you about that people are talking about. So it looks like from one of the scenes, like when Spider-Man's flipping through New York, people are thinking that looks like the very end of the movie. And there's one shot where he stands right in front of the Avengers Tower or the Stark Tower.
Yeah.
And it goes to pan up, like it's going to show who bought the tower. Is Oscorp going to be... In a post-credit, will we be revealed... Does Oscorp... Are they the ones that buy Avengers Tower?
Could be. That'd be a cool one.
Because then you get Harry... You get Harry in there. It teases the Green Goblin for... But that's another thing, too, of like... So I'm thinking...
You want to set up him, too, not to use him.
Well, I'm thinking... And this is the rock and a hard place they're in.
Yeah.
Doc Ock would be cool. But they've done it already. Green Goblin is cool, but they've done it already. Like, I know that Green Goblin is like the
Green
joke
Goblin's been done twice,
but it's also he's the Joker. He's Batman's Joker, basically. The Spider-Man,
basically.
like he is the one, the
him
main
or Wilson
villain.
Fisk.
Yeah, good point.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's a good point because Wilson Fisk is kind of a big one
for Spider-Man. But I get what you're saying.
And the thing that's different is Wilson Fisk. Wilson Fisk. The only reason why I would take Green Goblin over him in that regards is Fisk also, he goes between Daredevil.
Oh, I agree with you. I was just throwing it out there so in case little fun fact for them too.
I wonder
in case they didn't know.
I wonder if Sony, if the MCU, mainly the MCU, if they want to use a villain that's already been done. Because of Sam Raimi, and you mentioned The Amazing Spider-Man, did Green Goblin, did Doc Ock.
So, we did twice. No, we only had Doc Ock once with Sam Raimi. So they might be okay with using a Doc Ock again.
Okay.
Because I can't see Craven having Mysterio come up to him. Like, that'd be another one. Well, I can't see him having Mysterio come up to him and say, you failed me. Because it's like, he would want to do the hunt himself.
Yeah, because the thing with Craven is I don't expect him to be in a post-credit.
Yeah.
Because... Sony, and I'm looking it up right here. Where is it? Yeah, so I'll read this and I'll bring this into it too. Is future Spider-Man spin-off movies are going to stand on their own. And from the article I'm looking at Screen Rant, producer Amy Pascal, Sony, reveals that upcoming Spider-Man spin-offs from Sony Pictures Entertainment will remain separate from Tom Holland's version of the wall-crawling hero and the MCU. With the crown jewel character currently being managed creatively by Marvel Studios, Sony is banking on the heroes' tie-in characters to build their own interconnected franchise. Kicked off by Tom Hardy's Venom last year, which, side note, she also confirmed that they are doing a Venom 2.
Yep.
Tom Hardy will be back for that.
Awesome.
There's a slew of projects coming from the bidding comic book universe. The characters like Morbius and Kraven the Hunter in the pipeline. So Kraven the Hunter, they're developing that solo movie. So I don't know, like, and that's the thing where I wonder if Sony has a thing where it's like, hey, could you throw this Doc Ock thing in there? Because we want to, because they tried setting up the Sinister Six in The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We got teases for that. And I feel like Sony, not Marvel, Sony, their grand master plan is to eventually have a movie with the Sinister Six and Spider-Man. Because that would kind of be like the Avengers movie of the Sony universe, in my mind. Unless they're going more on a Spider-Verse kind of a kick.
What might be kind of cool, actually, I just thought about another after credit scene, would be Morbius, Jesus. Wow, I forgot his name now.
Morbius or Kraven?
No, when Mysterio comes into that.
I was like, Morbius? Because you said his name? No, Mysterio.
And then this is me kind of a blank, not blank slate, like loose drawing of like a idea for it. Comes into like a warehouse or something like that, and basically drops to his knees. I failed you, blah blah blah. And Doc Ock kind of goes, "Don't worry, I found you some fellow associates," and shows Vulture again.
You just see the
Shing Vulture. You see the tail of Scorpion come out, and whoever else you want to throw in. Then Doc Ock kind of like the two arms come out, and you just see the glasses glare.
Yeah,
that's it.
Oh, that'd be fucking baller.
Right?
That'd be so cool.
Because I can't think of who else was there to kind of throw in there, but
yeah,
you get those too. That's just, to me, that's good enough.
Because I mean,
to start,
Electro we haven't had introduced.
No, but we could throw Shocker in there.
We could. Shocker would like
he gave him the full out suit now.
There's also a rumor that the Chameleon is going to be in this. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Fury may be the Chameleon, you said.
Yeah, that was one of the kind of theories.
That'd be another
with
one.
It, is that theory, like, Fury's the Chameleon, and that's why he trusts back. So it's them tricking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where I I don't know if they do that, but I like that.
I do kind of too now.
Because basically it's nobody know, like Spider-Man's going on this trip and it's, you hear Spider-Man in the trailers and when he talks to Quentin back in the one little clip they released, the TV spot, and he goes, yeah, it kind of sounds selfish of me, but like I thought that I could just get like one summer off, like that I wouldn't have to save the world. And even Quentin Beck's like, yeah, there's a part of me that just tells you to, run away from it all. But then there's another part of me that tells you to fight, man. Tell you to fight because you got that inside you. It's what we do. It's what we're heroes. And I would love if Nick Fury was the Chameleon, because that's kind of like that twist of like they're ganging up. Like, hey, it's part of Mysterio's plan to have you as Nick Fury. The only question and thing in my mind is then who's Maria Hill?
How they fool Maria if that's the case too.
That's the thing. Unless they're fooling Maria and Spider-Man at the same time.
It could be. I mean, what if they like
the Great Bamboozle?
Sort of kidnap Nick Fury, keeping him somewhere, and then he's playing as Nick Fury.
I mean, that works.
Yeah.
So,
or Maria was sent over to there to investigate something, and
like something doesn't feel right.
Something not right, and all of a sudden, oh, hey, I'm Nick Fury. I'm here.
Yeah, basically.
Sort of, because you never know with Nick Fury. But that would, like, for him to get like that pissy with Spider-Man, and also like, oh, don't invoke her name.
Yeah. Yeah, because that just doesn't seem like something he would say. Am I wrong?
Bad Skrull? As Chameleon?
Because we had the Skrulls introduced.
Yeah.
We know they're not all gone. There's still some on Earth. Huh. I don't know if they do that.
Bad Skrull taking mantle as Chameleon.
I think that's too much. I think
maybe
M. Night Shyamalan's not directing this, Johnny. What a twist!
I'm just saying, like, option.
It's an option.
It's the whole shapeshifter thing.
Yeah, I mean, it could work. Like that could work because that would because that's also a thing.
Skrull human hybrid.
Why the hell would they change that to don't invoke her name?
Yeah.
Because it, like, when I heard it, it sounded very, like, brash almost.
Yeah.
And, like, kind of like a, whoa, okay.
At first, I'm, like, trying to think it's joking. What if it's, like, the only reason I would think that is, like, is it tied in with the Skrulls now? One that didn't get the memo that she saved most of them?
Yeah. I have no idea. I would say no to that. I would just go on the chameleon part.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying who the chameleon is now.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, shit. Is this tied in?
Here's another one I want to throw. And this is a theory I saw today. I'm not buying it.
Okay.
But I want to ask you what you think. So there's a theory out there that in this theory, the multiverse, everything that they're explaining with the multiverse is true. And basically the premise of it is that in Mysterio's universe, these elementals came and destroyed Earth. And they got through to ours, and the places that they are attacking are the places that they attacked in Mysterio's universe.
Yes.
The key to it, though, is Mysterio killed his universe's Spider-Man, which would basically, from the theory, what I was seeing, because they're in the UK, would be Spider-Man. Like, that universe's Spider-Man is Spider-Man UK. So Mysterio kills his version of Spider-Man, and now's in our universe. So it's basically, did he kill his universe's Spider-Man and is now tricking ours to try to do the same to ours? To basically go from universe to universe to basically knock off the Spider-Man of this Spider-Verse.
I'm not going with that. I'm not going to fly with that. Because, again, I also think the multiverse theory for this is not...
Is a lot of poppycock.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, once they said it, I was
Big
like...
slab of Bologna.
I was like, nope, it's not going to happen. Any final predictions about the movie before we kind of move? I want to move on into some Spider-Man news.
Yeah. No,
Any final predictions?
That's all for me for the movie.
I'm trying to think. What's a weird after credit prediction Ricky can make? Oh, I
already gave you one.
I got a fucking thing we didn't talk about.
Huh.
Do MJ and Peter kiss in this one? Because the relationship is budding. It's getting more buddy-buddy. Also, you can tell that MJ, like, it's from what I saw or heard on our podcast, it's kind of like MJ's that kind of character where she obviously likes Peter, so she's going to pay attention to Peter. And now she's starting to notice, like, she's very observant. And she's noticing that, whenever these big events happen, Peter's not here. So if Peter's not here and Spider-Man's here,
she's not dumb.
One of the, like, is she going to find out for sure that Peter's Spider-Man? And is their relationship finally going to start, you think, in this movie?
I think, yes to the relationship. Yes to she's going to figure out he's Spider-Man. Because there's the one scene, too, where she goes, "You're Spider-Man." And he goes, "What? No. It's like, it's not hard to figure out." And, but on the kiss, no, I think it would be actually kind of funnier. And this is me maybe being sadistic to some people being considered this, where they're about to. Like, make it the very end scene. They're about to kiss. Like, they're back in New York. They're about to kiss. Then, like, car crash type sound, lots of honking, a little bit of, like, an explosionist type thing. There's some guns going off. Shit, I gotta go.
You know what else I would really like, too? So, do that. But then at the end, right before they actually do kiss, like, the battle's over. He hangs upside down, and he, like, looks like... Basically, he hangs upside down, and MJ makes a comment of, like, "Get down here. That's cheesy." Basically making fun of the Sam Raimi.
I would love to if he did that, and she goes, "I'm not doing it that way."
Like, just paying homage to the Sam Raimi, but not doing the same thing. Like, that, to me, would be cool, too. Because that moment in the Sam Raimi one was like, fuck yeah, like that was like everyone wanted to do that then, like the hanging upside down, kind of pull the mask down.
No, it would be
and it would just be cool if she was just like, "Nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that."
I would love that.
He'd be like, "Come on."
Disappears right before the kiss.
It'd be cool. Nope, come on down. And then he comes down. And then that's when she takes off the mask. Because this would be just them off, secluded somewhere. Because obviously you can't take off the mask if everyone's around. I'm trying to think, is that it? Relationship, Mysterio, Nick Fury. Yeah, I think by the end of the movie, do you think Spider-Man is clearly taking on the role, like mentally taking on the role, I am captain of the Avengers. I have taken Tony's place.
Well, apparently he already thinks he did.
Welcome to the Avengers, Quentin. Johnny, when he saw that, was like, "Spider-Man can't do that. He doesn't have that power.
You don't have that right."
Welcome to the Avengers, Mysterio. Do you think that he, by the end...
That 5 years as an Avenger doesn't count.
By the end, do you think he is, like...
I think he's more...
mentally...
I think he's more confident. I don't think he's going to be 100%.
That's where we get in the third Spider-Man.
Yeah. If there's going to be a third.
And Sony make their deal. So the other Spider-Man news I kind of want to mention is there's a couple. So first off, like I said, the Sony said future Spider-Man spinoffs are going to be standalone movies. And from what it says here, Sony is planning to follow up their critically panned but financially successful Venom, directed by Daniel Espinosa, with director Daniel Espinosa's Morbius, which stars Jared Leto as Dr. Michael Morbius, the titular living vampire. Principal photography began in March and wrapped in May in preparation for its July 2020 release. Meanwhile, Kraven the Hunter from writer Richard Wenk And Black Cat and Silver Sable projects are still on the horizon, with recent news suggesting that Venom could actually interact with Peter Parker in the MCU. What are the chances that these upcoming movies could also connect to the friendly neighborhood hero? Here's the question I want to ask you, because they then go on. Let's see, where's the exact quote that I'm looking for from Pascal? Oh, here's what she said. So they asked, will the other spin-offs like Morbius and Kraven exist in their own pocket universe like Venom, or will they connect to Peter Parker in the MCU? Here's what Pascal said. The most important thing is that each of these movies can stand on their own. So I think the first thing to us to think about is Venom has to stand on its own. Far From Home has to stand on its own. Spider-Verse has to stand on its own. They all have to be great movies themselves. And then the possibilities are endless. I'm really excited for Morbius as well. I got a two-part question for you, Johnny. I'll ask you the first one first. We'll deal with that, and then I'll do the second part. The first one. If Sony is trying to build a Tom Holland Spider universe, just Tom Holland universe,
Yeah.
can they do so, in your mind, can they do so successfully by setting up individual villain films before they even put Spider-Man into it?
I think it's hard for some of the villains to do that. Like Kraven, for example. What are you going to have him do? His biggest game is hunting Spider-Man, unless you make that like big old...
Unless he thought that something else was the biggest hunt. And then at the end, he wants to go after Spider-Man.
I mean, that would be like, oh, here's your after credit scene of he sees Spider-Man as this big hunt, but it's like, how much movie are you going to get by just kind of showing, here's Kraven the Hunter?
Yeah.
Like, what's his bigger game, or his second biggest game compared to Spider-Man?
Let's see.
That'd be my thought. It's like, good idea for some villains. It's not going to work for all of them, though.
Yeah, and there's even, I'm seeing here that the writer has teased that Spider-Man will make an appearance in that film. Because it's true. Like, with Kraven the Hunter, you have to have... I feel like you have to have Spider-Man in there, where as like a Venom, as like a Black Cat, you can kind of do it on your own.
Exactly.
Especially with Black Cat, the interesting thing with her...
Even Morbius you could do on your own.
Yeah.
A standalone, I should say.
But the interesting thing with Black Cat on her own is, if you're just setting up a relationship between Tom and MJ... you don't want to throw Felicia Harding into that mix right away.
No.
Because Felicia Harding is more like a mix of like, so how the kind of roller coaster would have to go is MJ and Peter would have to, I would say, go for like a movie or two, being together, build that relationship.
Yeah.
Then the relationship ends, and that's when Felicia comes in and kind of pulls Pete, like gives Peter a different romantic interest before Peter goes back to MJ, because he's naturally drawn to MJ. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, you can't just jump into that after one movie, because like then you don't really have anything to, how do I just say this, to really give us to care about if the relationship ends between him and MJ. It's just like, okay, Peter's just jumping from girl to girl then.
Yeah. Also, the Venom stuff. Do you think we will ever see Venom and Spider-Man in the MCU? Because Kevin Feige
in the MCU
had commented on it, and he said, I think so. He was asked about it, and he said, I think probably it's up to Sony. Sony has both those characters and has Venom in their world. I don't know what their plans are for another Venom, or if they're doing that, but it seems likely at some point.
What would be smart on their point, if you ask my opinion, is Sony would make deals with MCU and start introducing their characters into it slowly, even. So that way, because I mean, we got some villains already from the Spider-Man universe from the Sony universe in the MCU. It'd be smart on their part to kind of like, hey, maybe we should just kind of keep this all together, since Tom Holland is part of this.
Yeah, and I mean,
And like slowly throw like some villains in there. And then they can make, if they really want to make some of their own standalone villain movies and like, hey, you got here's another Spider-Man film. Here's another villain that can't be done without him.
yeah,
And let MCU do those because they've been doing, we all know so far Disney Marvel is probably the top one to get these movies done.
yeah. And the one thing I will say that I like about the Avengers now being more cosmic, being like outside of New York,
Yeah.
is now you don't have so much going on in New York to where you can have the Avengers be outside of New York. All the Spider-Man stuff is contained in New York.
You can like have a lot of stuff outside of Earth.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, we decided, hey, we're going to make a Daredevil. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, we decided Spider-Man's going to be, and hell, Spider's not even in New York right now. Spider-Man's going to be in Europe.
And, well, that's interesting because the Venom one was in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But I think they only did that because of the Endgame stuff.
Well, not just
that was going on.
Not just that. They also did it because of, it kind of got him away from Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So, like, hey, Spider-Man's all the way here in New York.
That's why he's not in this
Let's put him on
movie.
the other coast. Mm-hmm. That way it's not really, like, too much of a... Hey, where the hell's Spider-Man?
The thing
He's in San Francisco. Why would Spider-Man be over there?
Yeah. The thing I also wonder is if Marvel is trying to get the rights to use Venom, because one of the rumors, and obviously the Fox Disney deal might throw a wrench into this, or it may help into this, is that they want to do Secret Wars. Well, to do Secret Wars, Spider-Man has the symbiote in that storyline. He gets the symbiote. I know that one's different where he gets the symbiote in space and then brings it to Earth.
Yeah.
And then it goes to Eddie Brock, so it can't follow that exact storyline. But, I mean, if they want to do Secret War, they have to have the symbiote, and they would have to have Venom introduced into the MCU. I just wonder how they make it work. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like how they make it work, what's going to be the story, because Marvel and Kevin Feige don't rush into anything.
No.
Like I read an article too when I was like, oh, we should have the conversation because this week an article came out about how Kevin Feige said they're already planning on how to introduce the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. And they apparently...
They've been planning for a while.
They've been planning for a while in case it happened.
Yeah.
They'd be ready to go. So it's kind of like a preemptive, like, well, if we got these characters...
How do we bring them in?
How would we do it? And this is like, they're already thinking about that. This is just something else on top of that. So I don't know how much Marvel is trying to push for that now that they got all these
other
Fox properties to kind of throw in there, except Deadpool's the only exception, because from what I hear...
Deadpool 3 is planned already.
Well, not just that. Our conversation about will he be in Spider-Man 3 got nixed.
Oh, did it?
Apparently, it was either Feige or Iger came out and said for the time being, they're going to keep Deadpool off on his own, doing his own thing in his own movie. Fine. Maybe that changes by Spider-Man 3.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Or at least like maybe he'll start referencing the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Come out with a pair of mouse ears on before everything.
Last question I got for you. Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Said he'd like to do, and I watched the interview and I feel like people are misquoting. Where basically it was an interview with the guy who plays Ned, MJ, and Tom Holland. And the interviewer asked about Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, about Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and would Tom want to do a movie with all three Spider-Man together? And I could tell right away that Tom was nervous because he tried to play it off like a joke, but it didn't land like a joke to me. It landed like he was nervous. Mm-hmm. He just answered like an answer about Far From Home. Like he was just talking about Far From Home. Kind of like hey, don't ask me that. Don't ask me that, guy. And then like Ned was basically like, oh, like that'd be awesome. Like you having both of them together. And Tom goes, Well, you know, yeah, I'd like to do. I would love to do a movie with both Andrew and Toby. The awkwardness, though, was kind of like a, yes, it was Tom Holland's awkwardness, but it was also like a, hey, could you please not ask me that? I don't feel comfortable answering this question because I feel like I'm going to say something wrong, and then Sony and Marvel are going to be mad at me. Do you want them mad at me? Because I don't want them mad at me anymore. Spoiler bros. But that's the thing where it's like, I feel like he was kind of forced into that answer.
Yeah.
I will ask you, Sony has made an animated Spider-Verse movie, not next year, not the year after, anytime in the future. Do we get a live-action Spider-Verse movie? Will we ever see all three, Maguire, Toby, and, same thing, Maguire, Garfield, and Holland on the same screen, sharing Spider-Man in a Spider-Verse?
Overall, no. If they do, maybe they'd have one or two of them cameo, but I don't know if we're going to have all three together.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, contracting all three of them is hard.
Well, plus the
timing of all of them is hard. And animated is just way easier to get it together.
It was so easier to put that together.
Exactly.
Then on top of it, like, because you laid out the Spider-Verse, here's the only way I could see it happening. I started writing the movie in my head a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It picks up with Miles in the animated world that we're used to. Basically, something happens, much like the Kingpin thing, where a little portal starts to open, and he's like, that's not right. And basically, it sucks Spider-Man, sucks Miles into the portal. And basically what happens is that he is then transformed into our universe. The cool thing that they could do with that, they'd have to cast the right person. But basically, it's Miles is now live action, and that's how you explain to get it to live action. And instead of Andrew, Tom, and Toby, you then have a Miles Morales in it as well.
Yeah, you can even pull a few of them from there as well. Like Nick Cage could play his.
He could. Jack Johnson, I think, could play his.
You played the original Peter Parker, right?
Yeah.
The older Peter Parker?
The depressed Peter Parker.
That's what I meant.
Sweatpants Peter Parker.
No, you could probably play that.
Yeah, not the one that died.
No, I meant original as in like the old one.
The one that died, I believe, was... Oh, what's his name? He's in Wonder Woman. Fuck.
Chris Pine?
Yes. I believe he was the
That's
original.
fine. That's not the one I was saying. It was
I was
the
just trying to
depressed
remember
Peter
who
Parker.
was the original one.
So it clarifies it for them too.
Yeah, Sweatpants Peter Parker.
Yeah, that too. He could probably play his. See, Mulaney would be hard to do because you still voiceover acting.
Could you imagine it was an actual pig?
That'd be hilarious.
And an actual pig voiced over by John Mulaney.
Like he transforms there, just like a pig in a Spider-Man suit. Like, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't have as much movement in this universe.
He transforms as a pig and like he's on all fours and goes, "Oh, this is uncomfortable."
Or does he crack a joke like transforms? Okay, guys, be honest with me. Did I gain a little bit of weight? Did I gain a little bit of weight in travel? Because obviously the pig's going to look bigger than Spider-Ham. I just don't think it happens.
No.
In my mind.
I don't overall know.
Yeah, I would love for it to happen. I just don't know if it does. Unless they do an Endgame-like thing where Spider-Man has to go back in time to the different movies. And he goes back and... He goes into a different multiverse to see Andrew Garfield. He goes into a different multiverse.
And I don't think they're going to do that with Tom Holland.
They're going to keep him separate. He's doing his own thing. He's
gotta keep him separated.
Gotta keep him separated. But this is where you guys come in and let us know what you think down below in that comment section. Predictions for Far From Home. Anything with the Spidey news that we had coming out. This was a jam-packed segment for you guys. Let us know what you guys are thinking about this Spidey news down below in the comment section.